Describe who you see, what room you're in.
In the dining area. Around a table that looks like a picnic table. Sam, Thomas, Z are there. And the red-headed girl.
Speak up a little bit louder.
Thomas, Sam, the red-headed girl, your higher self, and Z are there.
How do you know it's my higher self?
And she has long golden hair. And she has your energy.
Beautiful. Before we get started, the redhead, what does she have to say?
She's not saying anything, she's just smiling. As if she's here.
Okay.
With my presence, because she's always here with me.
With you?
Mm-hmm.
Why is she here for you?
Because she's my higher self.
Beautiful.
So her and Sam are always together, just like you and Thomas are.
Okay. Do they have any message for us before we start? Any direction? Anything insightful? I will take.
Z said, isn't that what the questions are for?
Yes. Oh, Z's there?
With a smile, yeah.
Okay, I gotta smile, so I'm not gonna get yelled at.
She said, you're not a child, we would never yell at you. Just persistent in our reminders.
Yes.
When you feel in doubt or misguided. But never yell.
Is there any, am I being misguided right now? Is there anything I'm not clear on that I need to be?
No. Everything you need to know you already do. But don't let your thoughts get in the way.
I'll just start with a list then. What is the purpose of the lockdown in the apartment buildings in Australia?
It's a test.
Pardon me?
It's a test.
What are they testing? What I said this morning?
He says no. He says it's a test, as much of what they've brought to fruition has had a lot of conflict, more than they anticipated. Originally, it was as if they were going to move forward no matter what, because they thought people were in a place to accept what they were going to extol. But they received a lot of backlash from those of us who were awake to fight against it. So instead of continuing to move forward, the next events that they have planned will be preceded with tests to see what they are able to get away with in that moment. But do not be mistaken. These events will happen because that's their intention and that's what they want. But they will be somewhat delayed with these tests, so to speak.
What is in the works for the next phase?
Total domination. Everything leading up into this moment has been with regard to poison, manipulate, and control. Now is the takeover that they're looking to establish.
What is the next step in the takeover? It's multifaceted.
He said it is difficult to say, just as they do not have the spiritual guidance or intuition to anticipate where our plans are at. It is the same for us. We cannot anticipate or see directly into what it is they have in store or planned.
With regards to Sweden, is it also a test for just 5G? Why they didn't do the lockdown there?
It's more than that. 5G is just a small aspect, but just like with everything they do, it's multifaceted. When they put these situations in place, they're looking at the total outcome and all of the possibilities they can get from it. One plan is not just done for one direction. It amounts many trivialities and responses.
Is there any, China is getting ready to invade Taiwan. Is this correct?
No.
No?
No.
Previously you had mentioned...
Not how you think it is. You, like others, have predispositions on what invading looks like, but it won't be that way.
More psychological?
Yes.
The man who's coming out as the new king of England, is he trustworthy and honest? Or is this just another ploy?
I'm not trustworthy and honest. But they said it's not a ploy either.
He's not part of our plan then, the Souls of Light, per se.
I said yes and no. And I keep hearing we'll work to our advantage. In regards to the no on the trustworthy, they asked, is anybody really trustworthy?
No.
And he keeps speaking to the fact that people aren't trustworthy because sometimes they work from their own motivations and rationalizations.
Like Trump.
He may be aware, but yes, he's not fully aware unto himself, therefore not entirely trustworthy in that sense.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the QAnon?
Trustworthy information is viable from such a source. But remember, it also pulls out misguided souls in the process. So be selective on what it is you're paying attention to and what you hear and what you see. But do not deny that it is a viable source of information from those who originally put it together.
But be discerning.
Yes. It's not, but that doesn't mean he doesn't pay attention to the information coming from it. The people in the QAnon highly look up to him to think I'm accountable for stuff that's going to happen, and he uses that to his advantage. Because who doesn't like to be thought of as a savior? But do no mistake, he does not hold as much power and intention as people give him credit for.
That I know.
So he will use that information for some semblance of good, but also for himself. And he will run with that.
What is it about November? You mentioned that before, about November or something.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Aside from Trump, though, they are giving a lot of precedence to JFK Jr.
Oh, I was going to ask that. Is he alive and coming back?
Yes.
When? About when?
The opportune moment. Much of what he's put into play has been very methodical to make sure that he is safe and that his plan can succeed. So he's not rash in his decision to come forward. He's going to wait for the opportune moment. And that's difficult to say with how things are fluctuating.
My guess is he probably knows
But do not be mistaken that you're the only one bringing forward information to make a change. There's an entire onset of people, organizations, working behind you with the intention of saving what we know as life, as humanity.
How can I be more effective?
Push what you know. Your stance and your information and your position does not need to fully collaborate itself with JFK and his situation, what he's putting together.
I understand that.
It is just as potent and significant in the effect that it works to complement what's being brought in place behind all these other people. Do not think of your situation as a big mission that's going to either save or destroy humanity. It is just a large, significant portion of the pie that we'll use to complement what's already coming in place by that organization. Anything you do complements that and further strengthens their position, thus strengthening yours. So push what you know, advocate for what you admonish, stand for what is right. That's all you have to do. We don't ask anything more, and you don't ask or require any more of yourself than what you know to be true in this moment and the information which you've spent such a long time coming to awareness of. This is your journey. This is what you're a part of. This is what you're responsible for, and nothing else. Should you choose to place your time with endeavors and experiences that impassion and embolden you, well, that is your freedom of will, and it can do nothing more than support and encourage justice in those areas. But do not think that that is what your mission is, to abolish and destroy. Your mission and what your mission is to preach, share, and expand on what you've come to know in this lifetime. And that is everything of that which revolutionizes your soul, which brings clarity to the doubt and misguided on the inside. Does that make sense?
Yes.
These dysfunctional things occurring in our society, like the human trafficking and the children. And while we understand that it emboldens you and empowers you to continue moving forward, you must remember that the information you hold, though it revolves around the self and self-expansion, and it doesn't necessarily correlate to those situations and bringing justice, it is just as important and significant in that bringing self-expansion to one soul brings it to the rest, and in doing so manifests change and brings justice for those situations. While completely and wholly different as one focuses on the injustice in the outside versus the injustice going on the inside, they are comparable in that one leads to the other, so thus finding a resolution and transforming that which destroys from within to expounding peace from the inside out will transition those situations and occurrences themselves. Those outside things which bring you disgust and pain and impassion you with anger can be transitioned and transformed just by doing what you've done for yourself, acknowledging that which desires to be seen from the inside. Everything in the world has the possibility to transform just by the simple act of recognizing that from which we hide within. That's what's so pertinent about your mission and what you're putting together. Transforming yourself transforms what everything else that's out there, and does not allow the time and space for darkness to enthrall, but instead exposes and extols it from our current space, spiritual and physical. For those that choose to listen versus those that don't, when the time comes, thousands will die, but it will not be those of us who stood for justice, for freedom, and for truth, those of us who stood for ourselves. The bodies and souls that you will see are the people who did not have the courage or the strength to choose what we are choosing, what you are choosing. Do not be mistaken. Though death will be rampant, it will not be of those of strength and courage and freedom. It will be of those who you so call pathetically weak. But it will not be in pain, for it will just be an opportunity to return home and cleanse before coming back into what you've called the 1,000 years of peace that has set to come into play. And though it may not look like there are large numbers of people on our side, people who defy what we speak to, ignore the truth, ignore their responsibility, ignore their freedom, we don't need large numbers to make a change. In the end, we don't need large numbers to make a change. And though you make fun of how many people follow you or even acknowledge your post on a day-to-day basis, do not be mistaken. Even 3 people who acknowledge the truth of what you have to say have the courage, strength, and humanity of 100 men. And what's on the inside, and though it continues to expand on the inside in that sense, is what's going to win the war, not the number of bodies you have next to you. You refer to the Revolutionary War a lot, but do you truly acknowledge and understand the notion that it took a group of men, a handful, to make a difference, to transform that which they were impassioned and emboldened and seeking justice for, the freedom to be who they want, to live how they want, the freedom to choose, against all of the military forces of Britain. That just goes to show numbers are not important. It's what's on the inside, because what's on the inside counts toward more than 10,000 of individuals you could put together for a simple mission. You yourself hold the strength of thousands of men and women. And one person like you standing up for something that's important holds more bearing than 100 people with you. So even if you have 20 people with you with the same amount of courage and strength and endeavor within that you have more strength than any amount of darkness could have. What they do not hold on the inside, what they lack, does not even compare to what people of light with our strength can wield and fathom. Their power and manipulation and control comes from what they can manipulate spiritually. It does not come from physical strength or spiritual strength. And when people acknowledge what they hold on the inside, just as you have done and continue to do each day, as you've not come into what fully lies within, but you will know that they don't hold any standing or power and any control. The perceived outreach of their devastation and injustice as a result of the power we refuse to grasp and acknowledge. The people's powerlessness. No matter what happens, no matter what it looks like, no matter how defeated you may get based on who acknowledges your words of wisdom or who does not, remind yourself and reiterate that it only takes one person with the amount of light, courage, freedom, and strength as you have and will continue to grow to make a difference, to make a change. Disgusting and pitiful. And it angers you what they continue to do to innocent children and men and women the wisdom and the growth and the strength and the beauty that will come from this situation will return humanity to the soldiers of peace that they were always meant to be, that they've always been. Spiritually, we return to the grandeur that we once were, physically, but what we've always been spiritually. And that is a feeling that no other experience can create, but the one that we've presided ourselves in now. I'm in this valley with large mountains on either side of me, but this beautiful sunrise and this dove flying overhead. And I feel this like blooming energy and peace and wholeness just expanding for miles outside of me. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I'm on earth and in heaven at the same time. And it says that's how it should be, that's how we should live. When you are reborn and you come to earth, everyone talks about getting back to heaven because that's where true peace is, but in essence, that true peace and that true wholeness is always with you, is always a part of you, and it should never, and is never displaced, depending on what realm you decide to be born into, evolve into. The peace and the virility and the love that people express with regards to heaven is always within you, is always a part of you, because it's not a place. It comes from what you're made of. She who made you, for that is all she is, and that is all you are. So it's not a place, it's who you are, it's what you are. And it's always a part of you, no matter where you decide to evolve into, whether that's your home planet or here on Earth. This is what people need to return to. And again, I will say, there are a great many of them who will not get this in this lifetime, who will perish. But those of us like ourselves will restore it for the rest of us. So when they return to incarnate, they will have the chance to thrive. This is not for them. This is not for generations to come. This is for ourselves. For thus doing such an act for ourselves is doing for others. We as souls deserve the right to live in love and peace and happiness and freedom. Freedom to choose all of what was just stated. And if you are deserving of that, in essence, everyone else is. By choosing you, you choose everyone else. Don't get distracted by the wit and disgust and the cunningness and manipulation and darkness that you see around you with regular souls and those and the others. It's time to focus on what you want. Aside from this mission that we have in place to restore to humanity to its greatness, it also serves a dual purpose. It's an opportunity for you to find your own peace and happiness. You do not choose, he's speaking of your higher self, you would never choose to pursue something that did not serve more than one purpose. Just as the others do not choose to pursue something if it does not serve more than one purpose. While this is about everyone else and the souls of light, it is also about you. You are a priority in this. And your sole focus on anything that should come forward toward uplifting the rest of humanity should come from how it uplifts and emboldens you. How its purpose serves you, for in serving you it will serve others. Do not forget that. Your purpose is not here to focus on something outside of yourself that's going to transform the world. Your purpose is also to focus on that which will transform your physical as well. Because your existence and your experience is just as valid and important as the rest. So when you are working on this information and putting out this awareness to expose others to the truth of their life and their existence and their path, remember that it should support and embolden yours as well, and what that looks like. You may talk about that which you do not need or do not believe you need, which in essence is true. But you never discuss that which you would like to experience, that which you would like to enjoy. That is not something you put off, for it is a part of what you're doing. It is a positive consequence of what comes from what you are doing. So do not mistake that is not something you should be thinking about. We've discussed with you that your focus lies, yes, with what's important in the moment, and that's getting the information and the awareness that you've come to acknowledge over the years out. But do not mistake that it is not important to acknowledge that which you choose or what you wish to enjoy and experience in the remaining years that you will spend here. They are twisted. It's showing me like a DNA strand. Though they look like separate things which you want or which you wish for, what you may desire in relation to what needs to be done now, they're not separate, they're the same. So it's time to get honest about what it is, because now you're no longer under the oppression of lies, rationalizations, and control. The world may look like it's coming apart, but it's actually transforming into a place where you can put your intentions into play. So do not ignore those desires and that which you believe will bring you the greatest happiness. You've already planned, you're not ready to leave when this is over. So what is it that you want to do with the remaining years you've decided to spend in a space that will encompass, incorporate, and support your dreams, desires, hopes, and wishes, your peace? What is it you want that to look like? You may wish to reflect on that over the coming months, because as stated, though it looks like darkness is expanding and destruction is coming, mountains are actually falling to preserve a space and a plateau for you to build your future. Because you do have a future. And you've perfectly positioned yourself in a spot to build that. This is your map, your booklet, to sketch how you want things to look. And there's purpose in that. And not to gain any more wisdom, but to enjoy and experience that which you have left on this earth. It's not all work and no play. Death for you and those like you. But it is for life. Death will come to those who do not have the courage or strength to stand with you and the others, those who serve but a minimal purpose in our expansion. Death will be rampant, but will not be rampant for those of us. We will be reborn, physically but spiritually. Upon winning this war, we will be reborn in the sense that things of the old ways are no longer of importance but new. Having the freedom to finally choose that which we want and desire and wish to experience and be. Reborn as in the excitement and the happiness and the freedom you experience upon coming into this earth in that first moment.
Give or take.
Time is always fluctuating, but it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 years. But do not mistake that that entails constant fighting. It doesn't entail constant fighting. It entails what they will push on you and what you will or will not accept, and the continued tests and the amount of freedoms that they will take away over time. And while it might seem a long time for conflict and darkness, it will also offer the opportunity for people to join and to come to true understanding. While many do not see the truth of what is right now, those who have the courage and strength to withstand it upon recognizing it when it is in their face will be at your side. And again, that may not be many, but that which they hold on the inside accounts for many men in one individual. And that is the strength you need, not in the number of bodies next to you, but in the amount of power within a single individual. I'm seeing like groups of people getting together, like factions and militias, and people just keep joining and joining, the more that they take away. This will not be an easy task for them, as though they'd hoped. And there will come a point where there will be no more manipulations, no more lies, no more coverings. Their destructive power and control and hatred will come to a forefront. The blanket will be pulled off. And people will have to choose. It will no longer leave room for doubt. But this will happen over time and in increments as they continue to push and pull.